everyone, to this 9th episode of Jiva's Happiness Hour. I'm Mark Cuddy, Jiva's artistic director. You can call me Grizzly Cuddy. I'm joined by Jiva's sound and video supervisor, Andrew Wilhelm, who's been doing all of the terrific editing for us for all of these happiness hours. Thanks, Andrew. Well, here we are at the end of May, with most of us still working from home, if allowed to work at all. Hard to believe, when we started these Friday afternoon artistic get-togethers, we had no idea how long we'd be doing them. We had to shut down performances, of course, on Friday the 13th of March. And we aired our first Happiness Hour on Facebook on April 3rd, just 3 weeks later. Right now, Jiva is focused on our upcoming gala, Curtain Call, on Friday, June 5th at 6 p.m., 1 week from today. Seems like everything occurs on Fridays. This is the 20th anniversary of Curtain Call, but we can't hold our party at our theater, so we've made it a virtual gala. Please go to jivacurtaincall.com, jivacurtaincall.com, and check out the fun videos while you register to watch the gala live on June 5th. We've over 35 local celebrities and Jiva actors appearing that night. Really should be a lot of fun. And then you can bid on auction items right now if you go to that site. So, in honor of our 2-month journey, we thought we'd look back at the previous 8 happiness hours and revisit some moments. I will be your travel guide on this journey this afternoon. Now, our first episode gathered almost all the actors who had their performances of Once the Musical interrupted by the pandemic. They shared songs and stories from their shelters. 5 of the actors were still living in the Jiva apartments near the theater because they had to sublet their own apartments in New York City, and they had nowhere to go in March. Maggie Hollenbeck, Adrian Lopez, E.J. Zimmerman, Chris St. Louis, and Nicholas Spongiardo Cooper. They called themselves the Capron 5 because the Jiva apartments are on the Capron Street. So here they are, performing at social distances, Follow the Heron.
The back of the winter is broken, and the light lingers long by the door, and the seeds of the summer have spoken in gowans that bloom on the shore. By night and day we'll sport and we'll play and delight as the dawn dances over the bay. Sleep blows the breath of the morning away, and we follow there and
The following week, I gathered a number of actors from different parts of the country, from LA to Vermont, and they shared their talents. Unfortunately, about halfway through the Facebook Live event on the Friday, the video skipped almost all the way back to the beginning. Now, it was Facebook servers that were the culprit, not us, but that meant that our viewers dropped off when it started to repeat what they had just seen. And one of the songs they missed if they didn't stay all the way through the end was actor Jonathan Spivey's original song that he debuted with us. Jonathan had acted in Pump Boys and Dinettes and the other Josh Cohen at Jiva, and so here is his song.
A man should be learned, well-spoken, informed, but none of that comes for free. His intellect, future, his best chance at fortune must be purchased at an upright university, Ivy League preferably. But a secret that can't be denied, that is written in no study guide. To attain higher ed, this fellow must wed a bride with wide expectations. A man's student debt is a lady. At first, she's beguiling and gay, ha ha ha. She's tiny, she's dainty, she's minuscule, ain't she? Who'd expect any malice from some dear Sally Mae? But brother, there'll come a day when she'll suddenly force you to pay. A man's student debt is a lady. She's a stunning yet cunning coquette. But as you've known her longer, her demands, they go stronger, and her interests compounding, but it cannot be met. Her calls are incessant and severely unpleasant, and she saddled you into her debt. Her letters pile up, and she's phoning you daily. Her temper is starting to rise. Your forbearance does nothing, and you're huffing and puffing till suddenly you realize that she's getting so salty 'cause your ledger is paltry. She's ballooning in stature and size. A man's student debt is his mistress, but her presence you've come to abhor. She captured your checkbook, she's gripping it tight. Her threatening statements are all black and white. You pay her your interest, but she gives you spite. And monthly she settles the score. She wallops your wallet with a greed-laden roar, unapologetically asking for more, while your lessening ledgers you just can't ignore, though for mercy you beg and implore. And in your dazed stupor, you feel like a dupe, for when you do the math, you discover the path of a trade school costs less than that Ivy League mess. Yes, a plumber reaps profits galore. So what'd you get that higher ed debt for?
Since time has taken on strangely warped realities for us all, for episode 3, I decided to have Christmas in April. 9 of the principal actors in A Christmas Carol joined me to share backstage stories of their many years performing in our holiday show. Getting into the spirit was also our guest services manager, Scott Falkowski, who had created a thematic cocktail video for each of our Happiness Hour episodes. He's become a Happiness Hour star. Here's one from that holiday show.
Oh, hi there. Well, welcome back. So if bourbon isn't your drink of choice, Perhaps you like gin or champagne, or perhaps both? Well, I have a treat for you, the Fezziwig Fizz. For this drink, you'll need gin, lemon juice, simple syrup, and champagne or sparkling wine. You'll also need a little bit of ice. With this, we're going to use Black Button Distilling Citrus Forward Gin. We want to do another special shout out to Jason and his crew over at Black Button. They're amazing partners at Jiva, but they're also doing amazing work right now during this pandemic. So thank you, Jason and your crew, for everything that you're doing for Rochester and the surrounding communities. We're going to enjoy some of your Citrus Forward Gin today. We're going to take a shaker here, load that up with some ice. We're going to pour in 1 ounce of the Black Button Citrus Forward Gin. We're going to do ½ ounce of lemon juice. And then we're going to do another ½ ounce of the simple syrup. Once you have all these ingredients in the shaker, you're simply going to shake that up for a few seconds until it gets nice and cold and frothy. And then once this is all shaken up and ready to go, we're going to pour that into our flute. If you don't have a flute, that's okay. Use whatever you have at home. I'm going to pour this in. Oh, that looks good. All right. And we're going to top it with some champagne. I'm going to top it with some champagne. Hey! All right. You can garnish this with a lemon twist if you have it. If not, you can enjoy it as is. And this drink, well, that can take you from the holidays right into New Year's. We hope you enjoy. Don't forget, drink responsibly.
Thankfully for our viewers, I took a break from hosting in episode 4 and Skip Greer took over. For weeks before, Jen Lyons had been contacting musicians for a happiness hour called Quarantine Blues. A year ago, we produced the world premiere of Revival, The Resurrection of Son House. The music director there, Billy Thompson, was eager to reassemble the Revival band for this episode, so they worked remotely and recorded this song from the show for our happiness hour. Looks Like Rain.
Looks like rain. Actually, it is raining right now.
Roof, dirt on my floor. I had a girl who loved me, she don't love me no more. It looked like rain coming down. It looked like rain, oh, coming down. It looked like rain. Just a simple gal, about 5 feet tall. Oh, I sure did love her. That gal sure could ball. It looked like rain coming down, and it looked like rain. That looked like rain. Can't find a doctor for a broken heart. Went out to my car, the damn thing won't start. It looked like rain. Lord, just coming on down. It looked like rain. Yeah. That looked like rain. enough money to keep her close. Now that gas is gone. Goodbye to yours. It looked like rain. Oh, coming down. It looked like rain. Oh, looked like rain. Oh, it looked like rain. Oh, coming down. Look like rain. Oh, it looked like rain. Rain coming down. All in my life. All in my life. You. You know what I'm talking about now. Rain, 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 rain. All of my life. Oh, look like rain.
That was Billy Thompson, Daniel Kelly II, Fred Vine, and Tad Wadhams. Thanks, guys. We had another change of pace for episode 5 when Jiva's associate artistic director and director of engagement, Peron Yusufzada, interviewed the director and writer Megan Sandberg-Zakian. She had just published a new book, There Must Be Happy Endings. Here's Megan reading an excerpt from that book.
When I graduated from college, I moved to New York City and registered to vote at my new address on Hudson Street. On election day, my neighborhood polling place couldn't find my name, so I rode my teal-blue Schwinn down to the Board of Elections on Varick Street. I was filling out forms in a lobby on the 17th floor when a jetliner dropped out of a perfect azure sky and flew into a building 20 blocks south. A man next to me kept repeating, "My nephew works in there. He works on the 90th floor." We were close enough to make out dark forms leaping from the upper floors of the building. As I pedaled back up Hudson towards my apartment, I saw hundreds of people lining the streets convulse in unison, crying out. I realized later that must have been the moment when the first tower fell. I watched the second tower collapse from the roof of my building. It felt like the end. I was altered by that encounter with the world's violent unpredictability, which I'd previously understood only in the abstract. Before that day, I saw tragedy, violence, hate as blemishes in an essentially compassionate universe, as aberrations that must be resisted, fought against, and overcome for the sake of our beautiful world. After, I saw them as pervasive. I saw the fundamental chaos in the lives of the 9-year-olds in my playwriting class who were often at the mercy of brutal public systems. I heard it in the sobs of my roommate through the wall at night, and in the voices of Baghdadi teenagers that came over the radio in the months and years after my country invaded theirs. I looked into the faces of strangers on the street and recognized my own devastation. Now I understood that this was the world, unjust, irrational, cruel. But September 11th was not the end, at least not for me. Both before and after that day, I made theater. I still make theater. Sometimes, often, it seems like a deeply inadequate response to a world of terror and chaos. But I strive to meet that world with my full and honest attention. In the collision between that striving and the whisper of my childhood longing, please let everything work out. I find myself again considering happy endings. What can a happy ending offer us? And now I mean an honestly happy ending, not a dishonest one. Not one that papers over reality with false cheer, but one that earns its happiness with full truth, with clear-eyed presence. That acknowledges the irrationality of the human heart, the infinite, unavoidable harms to self and others, the violence of the systems we've made to support us, but that fall so short, the maddening complexity of things that should be clear. Is this kind of happy ending even possible? One that gives us a compassionate space where grief and loss can coexist with hope and joy? One that offers us an alleviation, a space of relief where the weight of the world's terror abates momentarily. Perhaps it could act as a restorative, a tonic that refreshes and rebalances. And then, too, it would need to open up space to rejoice, to be washed with pure delight, wouldn't it? In a world where everything changes, in an ever-expanding universe, can a container the size of a theater and the shape of 2 hours be big enough to hold all this? I still wonder, how do I reconcile my desire for hope and possibility, connection and transformation with an authentic witnessing of darkness and despair, hate and violence? In the face of an enormously unjust and chaotic history and present, is it acceptable? Is it ethical to believe in the happy ending? Is it possible to be both honest and hopeful? Although I write from the viewpoint of someone making theater, I believe that this balancing act is one that all sensitive human beings must at some point attend to. It is the essential question of how to, as Walter Lippmann wrote, live forward in the midst of complexity.
In this time of COVID, it's nice to think about how we can create positivity going forward. Meanwhile, these happiness hours are not the only new digital content that our artistic and production staff have been creating. Jenny Werner, Jiva's literary director and resident dramaturg, launched a weekly podcast called Out of the Rehearsal Hall. We certainly are. It can be found where podcasts are offered. Apple Podcasts, all the places. Jenny does in-depth interviews with impactful actors, directors, and playwrights. Here's a little video peek at one of the audio recordings, this one with performer and writer Brian Quijada.
So I'm kind of excited about like this. I'm excited about like how like I'm excited about the glass being half full of this scenario of it all. Like there is a way of being like, we're going to lose theaters. Like we're going to like how are actors going to like how are we like what are we? And I totally understand that. I mean, like it is fear of the unknown. We have no idea, right? But a way that I'm dealing with it is by being like, how can we re-trigger these thoughts into seeing it as an opportunity to view it differently and to get excited in it like in a way that ramps us up that way, in a way of like listening to something or watching something and being like, cool, we are building new forms. We're breaking molds because we need to at this point. And theater will survive, you know, like we will continue to make things, just that our jobs will stay the same, whether, you know, we go into a huge depression, recession, whatever, like we're going to keep creating. And I think it's those kind of views on our industry, you know, I'm almost joyful and hopeful to a fault. But I think it's how I survive. Personally, how I survive, how I keep my chin up and keep creating. Otherwise I'd be in bed with the window shade closed, like, you know what I mean? It is,
Brian, thank you for not being in bed with the window shade closed. And for all
you should know that all of the happiness hours and Out of Rehearsal Hall podcasts are on our jivacurtaincall.com site. Check them out. Our guests on Happiness Hour have been so generous of their time and talent, sharing songs, stories, and comedy. When I hosted episode 6, the wonderful Megan Loomis, a professional actor from Rochester who has toured internationally, had 2 songs to share with us. We ran out of time for the second one, so I'm thrilled to bring it to you now. Never seen before on Happiness Hour, here's Megan.
I saw you and I knew I was in trouble. Oh, oh, oh. With your hazy stare and 2 days worth of stubble. Oh, oh, oh. There's no use trying to hide how my love is amplified. Noise boy, waking up my frequency. Noise boy, filling me with fantasies. Noise boy, how I do love you. You are expert at mixing emotion. How my head hurts from all the commotion. Turn me on, you turn me up. You make me think I'm loud enough. Just don't turn me down, no, no, baby. Just don't turn me down, no, no, baby. With every passing week, my heart grows fonder. Oh, oh, oh. But soon it seems your eye, it starts to wander. Oh, oh, oh. You know that I'm a glutton for a man who pushes buttons. Noise boy, jamming up my frequencies. Noise boy, filling me with jealousies. Noise boy, how I do love you. You are expert at mixing emotion. How my head hurts from all the commotion. Turn me on, you turn me up. You make me think that I'm in love. Just don't turn me down, no, no, baby. Don't turn me down, no, no, baby. Talking about noise boys, baby, yeah, noise boys, baby, yeah, noise boys. Ooh.
Perone was back hosting episode 7, which was called Shelter in Peace. She and Jen Lyons put together a wonderful group of professionals who specialized in work that we can all use to help center ourselves during the pandemic. There was yoga, gardening tips, short writing prompts from an online teacher at Writers and Books, and a lovely recipe for an aromatherapy spray from Mari Vile Golden. Mari is an actress who actually played my daughter in the world premiere of Heartland on the Fielding stage 2 years ago, and whose father is an acupuncturist and herbalist in California, where she shot the video. She's now going to show us how to make a fabulous medicinal tea. Here's Mari.
Hello again, everyone. I'm going to share one more recipe with you. This one is for an elderberry tea that I make and drink year-round. I also make it as a more reduced, concentrated version that's more of a syrup that you can have a little bit of every day. Elderberries have a ton of health benefits. Mainly they're really high in vitamin C, so it's really good for immunity year-round, but also during cold and flu season, of course. Right now is a good time to be strengthening our immunity. So elderberries, I just order them online. They come whole and dried. You can't eat elderberries before they've been cooked. So we're going to boil them for a little bit. So for about 1 serving, 1 cup of tea, I start with around 2 cups of water in a pot, and I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of the dried elderberry to that. And then I'm not like super big on measuring things, so I'm just going to add a dash or 2 of cinnamon. Just gonna sprinkle that in there. Some turmeric. If it ever comes out, yep. And then I grated some raw ginger that I'm also gonna add. You can also just peel it and slice it. So I'm gonna add that. It's about 1.5 inch like piece of ginger. yeah, so you put all that in the pot. I'm gonna put it on the stove, cover it, bring it to a boil. After it starts boiling, I'm going to take the lid off, reduce it to a simmer. I'm gonna set a timer for 20 minutes. And that is important because, like I said, you can't eat elderberries when they're uncooked. So you do wanna make sure it's on the stove for around 20 minutes. And then afterwards, I'm gonna turn it off, strain it through a mesh strainer or a cheesecloth or something, and then add some honey, which is also really good for immunity and makes it taste better because it can be a little bit bitter without it. Yeah, and that's basically it. I will also share a recipe slide too, so you can make it yourself.
You can go to midnightsunmedicinals.com for more inspiring concoctions. Finally, last week was a terrific look at one of Jiva Theater Center's signature education programs, the Stage Door Project. The project connects Jiva with a high school that agrees to put on the same play as Jiva, and then our professionals mentor the students along the way to their performance on the Jiva stage with our scenery, lighting, and professional crew. Skip Greer created this program a decade ago, and it is the only one of its kind in the country. This past season, we connected with Bishop Kearney High School on our production of the musical Once. Let's take a look.
And games that never amount to more than they're meant will play themselves out. Take this sinking boat and point it home. We've still got time.
Hello.
How's it going?
She's a liar. The woman is evil. These are my flatmates.
You all live here?
Yes, it's very cozy. Now, he only saw death and failure. The world outside was there to torture and crush him.
I have a post office box.
Oh, terrific. This is my lucky suit. I'm the manager. In 2 hours, I will interview and I will become the area manager there.
With what?
Pants, man. My pants.
I suppose to live without you. Wrong words said anger and you were gone. How it changes.
Till the morning, I'll have to let you go. And you will be just a man once I used to know.
Ain't done it in 5 days? And yeah, I wrote those songs at a different time for another girl, but when I sing them now, I sing it for us.
No.
It's you I see in the
I
songs.
don't want you to talk like that.
And why not?
Because it can't be about that.
Okay.
Dublin's really lovely.
A million times heartbroken. And Dublin keeps on going. You've got to love Dublin for dreaming.
Come to New York with me. Come on, we'll write loads of songs and we'll have a big flat, just you, me, and Ivanka.
And we will go to New York and no one will ever be able to find us again.
Just Liz. Make your mom proud.
I wish I had this in high school. So what you guys have going on is amazing. Brava.
Our upcoming virtual gala, Curtain Call, will raise money to support these kind of impactful education programs for our community. Please visit jivacurtaincall.com and join the fun. A portion of the proceeds of Curtain Call will go to support the amazing programs at FoodLink. So you'll want to make sure you have a contribution. So that's been a lot in the last 2 months. I want to thank Andrew Wilhelm, Jen Lyons, Scott Falkowski, Amanda Reichskins, and everyone behind the scenes here. They're really the best. And thank you for joining us over the last 2 months. Stay tuned. Lots more to come. We'll be back here at Happiness Hour sometime after our June 5th gala. And then we're switching to every 2 weeks after that. Stay tuned. Stay safe, everyone. Take care.